The Canadian Arctic is under threat. Here are the facts. In the fall of 2022, the Canadian military found and retrieved Chinese monitoring buoys in the Arctic. And last summer, a Canadian warship on an Arctic patrol encountered a Chinese polar vessel in the Bering Strait off Alaska. Despite its borders being 1,500 kilometers from the Arctic Circle, China now considers itself to be a, quote, near Arctic state. The Department of National Defense last year also noted, and I quote, Russia continues to modernize and build up its military presence in their Arctic, investing in new bases and infrastructure. It also possesses a robust Arctic naval presence with submarine surface combatants and an icebreaker fleet much larger than those of other Arctic powers. The Pentagon has also warned of potential Russian action in the Arctic, including jamming GPS satellites. Hostile powers want our resources, our shipping routes, and to be within striking distance of our continent. After 9 years of liberal incompetence and disdain, our military is weakened and our allies no longer respect us. Our safety, territory, and trade with the U.S. requires we take back control of Canada's north. This gigantic area of our country makes up 40% of our landmass and 75% of our coastline. 140,000 Canadians call it home, spread across 72 communities. Since time immemorial, Indigenous peoples have triumphed over the harsh climate, harvested the land and sea for food, and passed on their precious traditions and knowledge down the ages. We grew up on the folklore of fur traders and explorers who charted across the Northwest Passage, writers like Robert Service, artists like the Group of Seven, and Inuit sculptures have shaped our polar identity. We are the true North, strong and free. As the world grows more dangerous, our brave men and women in the Canadian Armed Forces, especially the mighty Canadian Rangers, must have the resources they need to defend our North. That's why Canada's last Conservative government started the Arctic Offshore Patrol Ships Project and invested in a new naval facility in Nanisivik, which is due to go online this year. But then the Liberals took office and failed our North and our forces. And Canada still does not have a permanent base in the Arctic, while at the same time Russia has reopened Soviet military bases and expanded its Navy's Northern Fleet over the past few decades. They have also developed new hypersonic missiles designed to evade NATO's defenses. Russia even has more ground force bases within the Arctic Circle than all of NATO combined. This is a wake-up call. We need to become more self-reliant and protect our interests and our sovereignty. That's why I'm announcing part of my Canada First plan to take back control of the Canadian Arctic. We will, 1, double the size of the first patrol group of the Canadian Rangers from the current 2,000 to 4,000 Rangers. The Canadian Rangers provide self-sufficient mobile forces to support the military. They often report suspicious and unusual activities while providing local knowledge and expertise. 2, we will acquire 2 additional polar icebreakers for the Royal Canadian Navy. These icebreakers will be on top of the current planned icebreakers that Seaspan and Davie shipyards are now building for the Coast Guard. Liberals have promised 2 heavy Coast Guard icebreakers, but won't say when. My government will deliver those by 2029, on top of the new ones for the Navy that I just mentioned. So to sum up, under common sense Conservatives, Canada will get 2 new heavy icebreakers for the Coast Guard, plus 2 more for the Navy, for a total of 4. 3, build Canada's first permanent Arctic base since the Cold War, CFB Iqaluit. We will build it in consultation with military experts and Indigenous peoples. Iqaluit already has a forward operating location and a functional airport and seaport that can accommodate the Canadian Air Force. Iqaluit already has over 7,000 people, so the base would not be isolated and it would bring increased quality of life and economic development to this important city. The base will host a full Royal Canadian Air Force wing to launch and land new F-35 jets, which will be nearby and ready to fight. The base can also launch and land Poseidon P-8 aircraft to deter threats and carry out search and rescue, anti-submarine warfare, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance work. The Royal Canadian Navy and Canadian Coast Guard could also continue to use Iqaluit Seaport as a base of operations to conduct maritime surveillance and icebreaking in Canada's Northwest Passage. It would also help NORAD detect, deter, and if needed, destroy incoming threats to North America. It would also fuel our local economic development in Iqaluit with better runways, energy systems, transportation, and infrastructure. All of these improvements will be funded by dramatically cutting foreign aid, much of which goes to dictators, terrorists, and global bureaucracies. These steps are only the beginning of my Canada First plan for the North, and they will come on top of the already planned Defence Update and NORAD modernization plans that include, among other things, advanced air-to-air missiles, air-to-air refueling aircraft, upgrades to the forward operating locations in Inuvik, Yellowknife, Goose Bay, and the new base in Iqaluit. Other upgrades include airborne early warning aircraft, northern operational support hubs, new submarines to replace the Victoria-class fleet, tactical helicopters, and a new satellite ground station in the Arctic. Common sense conservatives will deliver these things faster than the current Liberal plan by eliminating red tape and delays. If we are to be a sovereign and self-reliant nation, we must take back control of our North, secure all our borders, and stand on our own 2 feet. We will restore Canada's promise that anyone from anywhere can do anything, that hard work gets a powerful paycheck and pension that buys affordable food and homes in safe neighborhoods in a secure country protected by a strong military. Our country will secure our skies, our seas, and our soil in the true North, strong and free. Let's bring it home.